And welcome back to the 4 to 7 podcast. I'm Chris, he's Jerry, and this is our variety segment of the pod. So we got a couple of miscellaneous topics to discuss tonight. The first one is about my boy Paul Skenes. Paul Skenes has basically turned into Jacob deGrom 2.0, not the injury part. And by the way, Jacob deGrom is going to be making a start in Yankee Stadium tomorrow, but not the injury stuff with deGrom, but the being an absolute horse of a pitcher and your team shafting you and giving you zero run support. Jacob deGrom.
I mean, like, you could fight your entire offense in the locker room after the game and everyone would be on your side, Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, like, you should be able to beat the fuck out of all your teammates. Like, that type of...
we would exonerate you.
Yeah, that type of Jacob deGrom treatment. In Paul Skenes' last... in his last 3 starts, he's gotten deGrommed in pretty much all of them. He had the complete game against the Phillies. It was an 8-inning game because the Phillies didn't need to bat in the 9th because they lost that game 1-0. But yeah, he had a complete game of 1-run ball. He only gave up 3 hits, 1 walk, and one earned run. Game before that was against the Mets. The Mets did a little more than most teams do against him. Well, he only gave up one earned run in that game over 6 innings. And the Pirates actually somehow scored 3 runs, but it was still not enough to win. The game before that,
I believe that went to extras, if I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
I believe that game ended up going to extras.
Yeah, I think it went to the 10th inning, and I think it was Pete Alonso hit like a walk-off single or a walk-off sac fly, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, and then start before that in St. Louis, he went 6 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs. They lost that game 2-1. And then the game before that, the Cubs actually did the Cubs they lost that game 8-3. He only gave up 3 of the runs, so like bullpen implosion. The game before that was a 3-0 shutout, and then the game before that was a 3-0 shutout loss against the Guardians, where he also had where he was also given the deGrom treatment. So there's definitely a trend. I mean, the Pirates generally don't hit, but it seems like they especially don't hit when Skenes is pitching. And there's been some chatter over the past couple of days that teams expect that they're going to be calling they're going to be calling about the Pirates, about Skenes at the deadline. Obviously, this is another failed rebuild by the Pirates. So I guess it begs the question, would they be better off just trading him now? His value might never be higher. He hasn't gotten hurt yet.
There is that, and it's kind of the quiet part with Skenes, because especially as we've seen this velocity jump across the board for everybody in the past 15 years, because it's not even front-end starters anymore. It used to be, I think if you got back to like 2009 and 2010, at that time, guys like Scherzer and Lincecum, those guys are going to throw upper 90s. Maybe they touch 100. But those guys were like the rare 0.01% of the pitchers. Now everybody's got it. I got to say, Tyler McGill, who is a number 5 starter, throws 99. Every single guy that you're seeing out of the bullpen throws 99. But the larger point of that being is, with every guy that's throwing that hard, quietly you're like, all right, well, when does he get hurt? And everyone's quietly like, a Tommy John surgery now is just accepted with every single pitcher.
It's basically an inevitability like that.
Growing up, if a guy got Tommy John, it's like, is he ever going to pitch again? And now it's just, all right, yeah, See you in 18 months. And it's kind of the thing that we're all like, it happened with Steven Strasburg. I mean, he got to the major leagues and he had what, like 7 starts, and then he had his. It just feels like Matt Harvey had it. I mean, he came up for, I want to say, like the last month or so of 2012, and then he just came up and shoved in 2013, and even he didn't make it to the end of his first year. It feels like it happens to every single pitcher, even if you're not a superstar. It's just, if you throw hard, this is the cost of that. And especially now with so many pitchers that are just like, hey, just go out and rip it. Throw it as hard as you can for as long as you can. That at some point, that's going to catch up to you. And I guess the biggest thing that you would have to look at with trades, Chris, is that you're essentially saying he's got 5.5 years of team control left from his rookie deal. You're essentially saying we're not going to be competitive in 5.5 years. So what's the point? Like I feel like we kind of sort of stumbled into this topic by accident a couple weeks back, because you had said, like, there's already talk about whether they should trade him. I think you had mentioned it in passing a couple shows ago.
Yeah.
And you said this didn't even happen when Garrett Cole came up. And I guess the difference being back then is at that point, the Pirates were in their first year of their wild card runs. So people didn't have time to think about it. It was, hey, can this guy help us out right now? But it really is bleak when you think that, I mean, Skenes is a Cy Young caliber pitch. He might win it this year. He might. And to think, even for as good as this guy is, there's no chance that he leads us by himself to a playoff. Like, what does that say? And also at the same time, I totally get everyone who's like, they're not that bad. They just don't spend any money on major league hitting. If you spend any money on major league hitting, you wouldn't have this problem. And instead of, like, you're trotting out IKF and Jared Triolo and like just absolutely.
Jared Triolo is so fucking bad.
Like, Garrett Cole at least got to work with MVP Kutch.
He had Kutch. They had Marte. Like,
Polanco,
they had Marte like in his prime. Yeah. Like, that was a legit. They had like a legitimate lineup.
It's like Skenes has O'Neal, Cruz, and like maybe Brian Reynolds.
Brian Reynolds isn't having that great of a year.
No. But I do think there is something to the fact of, if you're trading someone this special with 5.5 years left, you are saying we are fine being a non-competitive product. And if that's the case, why are you in this? There are many things that I hated about the Yankees my whole life. The one thing I would always give them is, but damn it, they tried. There's a lot of things people can say about Mark Cuban, and I get it, and I'll hear it. He tries.
Yeah.
That's all we can ask of you. To have someone like Paul Skenes fall in your lap, and he's this good immediately. There were no growing pains. There's no rookie bumps that he had to worry about. No, he was just that guy the day he showed up.
Yeah, the day he was called out.
Like, that is incredibly damning at the people at the very top and the people that are making the decisions too. It shouldn't. This is what I've said this before. You got the hard part done. You found that guy, and he's going out there and doing what you ask him to do, filling out the rest of this team. And we're not saying it needs to be the Dodgers lineup or the Astros lineup. At least let it be major league quality. That shouldn't be hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. With all the other PR disasters the Pirates have had with Brickgate and whatever, the Clemente Wall thing and whatever else, just like,
I hope that fan's doing all right. Put that out there.
Oh yeah, that too. I think he is. I think that fan is. He did survive, and I think he's like from the last I heard is like it's expected that like he'll be all right. He obviously is going to have a really long road to like recovery or living a normal life again. But it seems like it seems like that situation could have been a lot worse.
And then like the more that came out where it's like, Okay, yeah, he was drunk, but this wasn't some idiot that jumped over the fence on a dare or he was doing it for attention. He literally
He
jumped out
got
of his seat.
excited
Yeah.
because the Pirates hit so rarely.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying to like make jokes, but
No,
like that's literally what happened. I think if you'd ask that guy, like I think he would maybe he wouldn't say that part, but like Kutch had like a 2 RBI single, and I think he got excited to see them hit.
I feel like that would be the best case scenario ending for everyone involved is if he somehow remembers this, because I know he's going through the recovery right now. So this might be something where he just doesn't remember what happened. But if that actually came out, he said, yeah, I was out there and the Pirates weren't doing anything. And by God, we got a hit. And next thing you know, I'm in the hospital. That might actually put some pressure on people. Like,
Yeah.
my God, we
Yeah, it's
almost
like
killed a man.
yeah, you're literally like playing with people's lives with the
Literally.
brand of baseball that you're playing.
Because you don't value good hitting.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of not.
And if you're correct that it was a Kutch single that happened on, you almost put that on his conscience. You wanted to do that to that wonderful man, really?
Yeah, yeah. I believe it was a Kutch. Yeah, I believe it was a Kutch RBI single. But
Also,
yeah,
Kutch came back. Kutch
obviously
came back, and this is how you thank him.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, best wishes to to that fan. That was obviously a very scary scene at PNC Park. I was not there the night that happened, and I'm glad that I wasn't, because that would have been tough to see in person. I mean, it was tough to see. It was tough to see like videos of it. So it would have definitely been tough to see that in person, and just like the whole not knowing. Just like not really knowing what's going on.
It was a very human baseball moment, because they kept showing guys in the dugout, and
yeah,
very rarely ever see athletes look like that. I mean, they looked as horrified as we did.
Yeah. No, it's like a reminder. Yeah, it's like a reminder that like they're human beings just like us. So like they see something like that happen, and it affects them too. It's like, yeah, once we get him, off the field and into an ambulance, like there's still a game to play, but like in this moment we're all just human beings hoping the best for this human being. So obviously best wishes to him. Hopefully he's all right, and I hope that one day we get to like hear his side of the story, when he's like as better as he can be. But as far as trading Paul Skenes goes, I have mixed feelings on this, and I think there's a few different angles you could take on whether or not the Pirates should trade him. So, like, as a baseball fan, like I think as Yankee and Mets fans respectively, and as baseball fans, I think it's easy to say like, yeah, the Pirates should just trade Skenes, like take him out of his, take him out of his misery, let him go somewhere where he can win and where he can compete. Maybe let him go somewhere where Livy Dunn will enjoy being more, because it seems like she's only in Pittsburgh on days where Paul Skenes is starting at home. If you follow her like Instagram. But I think from the Pirates standpoint, I do think this is the highest his value would ever be, and like they have failed. They have failed rebuild after rebuild, and I think they don't really have like aside from like Bubba Chandler at this point, they really don't have like a much to look forward to in their prospect pool. This could be a way to replenish that prospect pool.
Well, there is Tamar Johnson.
Yeah, true.
I'm not writing them off yet.
Yeah, true. But it's almost like what's the point if you can't even develop them properly? Also, I would also lean towards, I think they should probably, like, if it is inevitable that they're going to trade him, and if they're not going to get serious about competing, in the time that they have him under control, it does make more sense to trade him. But I would say that they probably shouldn't trade him now, and I don't think they're going to, but
No.
I don't think they should trade him until Ben Sherrington, the GM, is fired. Because like, if you're a Pirates fan, do you trust Ben Sherrington to get the best return possible and to like properly execute a trade like that? I sure don't.
No.
So I would say
there is
everyone needs to be fired after this season, if not sooner. And I would say, I'd say that's like a decision for the next GM to make.
Yeah, that you got to get someone in where you're like, okay, we're hiring this guy because he has a great eye for talent. He was responsible for developing this guy, and he picked this guy in the 8th round, and he got something out of this guy in the 20th.
Yeah,
and
I think that's part of the problem with the Pirates too. It's not just that they don't invest money into getting players. Like, it's not just that they don't spend the money to put a competitive product on the field. I don't think they invest anything in their player development either. Like, I think that's like the real underlying issue.
I mean, it's like Henry Davis was a number 1 pick. What? It's like since COVID, right?
Yeah, I think 2022. I think he was the number 1 pick the year before Skenes was.
And nobody, like, it's not even a discussion of like, man, this guy was a number 1 pick and he's not even doing anything. Like, you hear that with some number 1 picks. You're like, hey, this guy was a number 1 pick and he's slumping. He's not even getting that.
Yeah.
It's not even like you see some like the perfect example is the Rays in 08 as they were making their way to the top of the AL East had the number 1 pick because they had the worst record the year before. They could have taken Buster Posey. They took Tim Beckham, who eventually made the major leagues, but really didn't do a whole lot. And it's like, imagine if that team that year had made the World Series and then just plugged Buster Posey in. Like, that's a World Series, right? Henry Davis isn't even getting that treatment. It's just, he's not good.
He just sucks. Yeah, and like there doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be much hope for him to like figure it out or turn it around. He's basically, he was a number 1 pick. He was a number 1 pick in 2022, and like it's 3 years later. Some players don't even get called up like 3 years after getting drafted, and it's basically like, all right, this guy's basically just a backup catcher.
Yeah, and he's backing up another guy who went top 2 in the draft and didn't really work out with the team that drafted him either.
Yeah, So it's just like,
well, hey, they signed this guy, and this guy's had pretty good career numbers. Like, he's got to earn his way in. It's like, Joey Bart's not really anybody either.
Yeah, so it's just like a weird, it's just like a weird situation. Like, like I would almost say they should probably trade him before they trade Skenes. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be someone's going to get hurt at some point. There's going to be a team that's in a market for a catcher. So I think, the Pirates would probably be there. Like his Henry Davis's value probably isn't that high. You might actually be able to get more for Joey Bart at this point. And then you kind of just roll with Henry Davis and see if he can figure it out or not.
I'll never forget thinking that in 2013, the Mets signed Marlon Byrd and John Buck, and it was just like flyer deals. And then for some reason, Marlon Byrd and John Buck got hot that year, and we weren't any good. And the Pirates traded for them because Marlon Byrd and John Buck were legitimately good. And I forever thought we had swindled the Pirates, but we didn't. It's like Vic Black, you watch. He's going to be the next shutdown closer. He was all right.
Yeah, like, it's kind of like
we got Dilson Herrera. I'm like, second baseman of the next 10 years. No.
Yeah. Or kind of like when the Pirates thought they fleeced the Mets with the Collar Holderman trade.
Oh.
But
trade nobody won.
If you want to talk about trades that have no winners, only losers. The Colin Holderman for Daniel Vogelbach.
That's another guy Skeen should probably fight is Colin Holderman.
Yeah, he should also probably just fight Daniel Vogelbach just for the hell of it. I think Vogelbach is I think he's the Pirates hitting coach now.
Yeah. Paul, tap me in. I can help you out with this.
Yeah, I think if anything, Paul Skenes should just fight Danny Burgers.
I would be happy to help.
Yeah, I'd be happy to assist as well because it's it's just criminal what's criminal what's going on over there. But as
And
far
we
as
called this
trading
in the
schemes,
preseason too. We
what's
called this.
that?
We called this.
Yeah,
So watch,
yeah,
they're gonna lead the league in strike threes taken.
yeah. Here we are. As far as yeah, as far as trading schemes goes, though, I don't think it's time for them to pull the plug on that yet. I think you got to get another GM. And I know that with the Pirates, obviously, it's like, well, the GM can only do what the owner will allow them to do. But Neil Huntington, the guy before, it seemed like he did more with the same amount of resources, and it seemed like he at least had some sort of a plan. Like Ben Sherrington, there's no plan. It seems like it's like, all right, Paul Skenes fell into my lap. Now what? And he just did nothing to, Paul Skenes fell into his lap. Jared Jones, also kind of, well, I think Jared Jones was already on the team. So Jared Jones may not have fallen into his lap, but it's like Paul Skenes fell into my lap. Now what, basically? And he just didn't really do anything to like build on that. And then like Jared Jones, that's like a whole nother disaster. They just announced that he's like going to be getting Tommy John, which I think we knew he was going to need it like a month ago when he got hurt, but they were, I don't know, they were holding out for
Yeah,
whatever
you're hoping
reason.
against hope that something just
Yeah, like
shakes.
they had to get like 8 different opinions, and like they're finally deciding now, like, all right, like let's just do it. Like, could have done that a month ago, and could have already been on the track to like rehabbing for coming back at some point next year. But now that might be out the window. So yeah, but as far as Skeens goes, I think you gotta clean house with management in the front office before you make any move in any direction with Skeens. So I think for now you stay the course. I don't think he should be moved at the deadline, and gun to my head, I don't think he will be.
Yeah, I think this is ultimately one of those. Like I remember the big one I heard this is probably about 15 years ago was like, well, the Phillies and Cardinals discussed trading Pujols for Howard, and it's like, man, would they really do that? And it's like, I wonder how serious that ever was. Like maybe that just got floated over a dinner, and by the time the dinner ended, they had already forgotten about it,
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like just one of those
but you're right.
like drunken conversations. It's kind of like basically like how the Luca conversation should have gone. Like, oh yeah, imagine, but yeah, no, we're not gonna really do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. They trade Fluke.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, like, and also I realize this is the Pirates and they do things differently, but even if there was an agreement of, all right, hey, look, this is just what we have to do. Like, what even is the point of attack from there? Is it, okay, let's identify who we think have the best farm systems? Or is it, okay, are we going for major league talent right now that can help replenish this? Is it,
Yeah.
do
I mean,
we find who's desperate and just see how much we can get? Like, what's the move? Like, okay, if you're going to do this, you only get one shot to do one of these.
right.
You're lucky that you have this arm be this good right now and he's still healthy. If
Yep.
you're going to do this, you better have it right, and you
Yeah,
better have a plan of how you want to do this.
yeah, you have to execute it properly. Yeah, I would say, I mean, yeah, as far as that goes, I think you would need at least a major league level player, whether it's a starting pitcher to like kind of take his place in the rotation or like an everyday player. You need like a major league level starter. It doesn't have to be like a great player, but it has to be like an average or above average like major league player. And then I think like you just need like the absolutes, and then you need like the absolute farm as far as prospects go.
It's
Like you
like
need to be getting like the top prospects. You need to be getting like a top 20 prospect on top of that, and then like a top 50 prospect on top of that, and then like a guy in double A with high upside. Like,
it's like if say I call the Orioles, it's like, okay, you want to do this? I know you need pitching. I know you're trying to contend right now. All right.
we'll start with Jackson Holiday.
I would say Jordan Westberg, But Jackson
True.
Holliday, they might not come off Holiday, but it's like, oh, Jordan Westbrook was an all-star last year and he's been good.
Yeah.
The whole time they
He's
made-
like the perfect example of like a above average, like everyday starter in the
All right,
major
and I'm
league.
going to need Samuel Basallo, and I'm going to need Kobe Mayo, and you know what? Throw Vance Honeycutt in there while you're at it. Like that. That's where we're starting the conversation. Are you willing to start there? You're cool. All right, let's talk.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it gets a little thin after that, but I feel like the Orioles are a best example of they've got young major league talent that you would absolutely take back. They still have something at the very top of their farm system, and also they would be desperate enough to do this because see the Orioles pitching staff.
Right. I mean, the only problem is like how far gone is the only problem is like how far gone is the season for the Orioles by the time the deadline would come. Like, I mean, like it might not make sense for them to make that move this year. Although, I
Well,
mean, you're not just doing it for this year though. You're gonna
right.
have him. It's a unique situation because you're gonna have so many years of control. So you
But
can't
you have
even
to look at it
you
from
can't
the
even really
perspective
look
of
at it that way.
yeah, you would still have 4 years of team control, and you know, as we've said in recent episodes, you know, the Orioles aren't owned by the Angeloses anymore. You're supposed to be able to throw the money around now. They've talked a big game. Well,
Yeah.
you could have nailed down Corbin Burns. You've got a chance to go do this. What is a bigger statement of intent than going out there and pushing all of your chips to the middle of the table to say, hey, yeah, this could be the best pitcher of the next 10 years. We're getting this done right now. That's one way. Like, there's a lot of Oriole fans who are disillusioned right now. That's one way to get them back.
Yeah.
Okay, they
Yeah.
are serious about this. All right.
Yeah, like even if it doesn't equate to success this year, it's like all right, like you go into next year and the following years, like you have Paul Skenes and you still have him under control. So now you can throw the money around that you were talking about throwing the money around to get like a really good number 2 starter and to, supplement your lineup, like replace the production you lost from Santander, even though he's not exactly having the best year with Toronto.
And plus, what a great recruitment tool you would have, which is, hey, look, we've got Gunnar, we've got Jackson Holliday, we've got Kerstad, we've got our guys. Oh yeah, and we got him on the mound. You're gonna have him every 5th day. Don't you want to be a part of this?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be able to bring some guys.
Also, Baltimore and like Maryland is like a pretty big it's a pretty big like military community there, and I know that's like something Paul Skenes is like really into, like the Air Force and stuff.
And plus, like you're close to Dulles. Like Livy can still jet set however often she wants. Like,
Yep.
I feel like that still works.
Yeah, you're still close enough. You're still close enough that Livy can get to wherever she needs to go to.
Yeah, that's not that far from New York. That works.
Yeah, they got direct flights to LA too. So yeah, it would be, if nothing else, it would be a good. If nothing else, Baltimore could be a good placeholder for him until he does like hit the market in 5 years. But I don't want to speak that evil into existence. But it does make it. But it is one of those. It is one of those fits that kind of does make sense for all parties involved.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Like I don't know if the Yankees necessarily have the. I don't know if the Yankees necessarily have like the prospect firepower to get that type of deal done.
I was gonna say, what would that look like if you were?
I think you'd be looking at you'd probably have to give them like Spencer Jones.
Yeah,
I would hate to do it, but like you probably got to part with George Lombard.
Yeah,
and so like Spencer Jones, George Lombard, and then if you're looking at like a major league starter, I would say maybe Dominguez.
yeah, that would. Yeah, I could see that. Because then it's okay.
I mean,
Look,
what about for the Mets? Like, what do you think a trade for Skenes would have to look like for the Mets?
Well, it would depend in terms of what young play. Like, Do the Pirates want L.A. Acuna? Because that's a young, cost-controlled player who's already contributing at a major league level, so you'd have that. Or you could go Vientos. If you're still high on Brett Beatty, which I will say he's working his way up out of the hole, so there's that. Or Francisco Alvarez. There's that's still there.
Another like reclamation catcher project for the Pirates.
Ronnie Mauricio is a guy who's already had major league time, and he should be back soon. You could take a swing on him. Drew Gilbert's still there. Drew Gilbert was a first-round pick that already got traded for Verlander. Jet Williams was a recent first-round pick for us. Brandon Sproat, I've mentioned him plenty. Might crack the major league rotation this year. Jonah Tong is just absolutely shoving right now in Binghamton. I know he has the highest whiff rate in all of Double-A. Yeah, 7 starts this year in Double-A. He's got a 2.12 ERA, and he's struck out 59 guys in 34 innings after striking out 160 in 113 last year. So, yeah, Jonah Tong is a name that you're going to hear, be it whether he's with the Mets or if he's in a trade. You will hear about him this year. Ryan Clifford is another guy we got for Verlander. Nolan McLean's a recent first-round pick. Carson Benj, I believe, was our first-round pick last year. He's been mashing. So the Mets have really done a good job rebuilding the farm system over the past couple of years, not just with David Stearns, but, Epler gets some credit for that. Zach Scott gets some credit for that, too. So the Mets are positioned, at least from the prospect perspective. I don't know about having a major league ready guy right now, unless they want to go and move L.A. Acuna or, Vientos or Alvarez if they were feeling especially brave. I don't think they would move Alvarez just because I don't think there's a ready-made replacement for him.
Yeah, he has like Alvarez is an interesting case because I think that ultimately he has too much power to just give up on. But
right.
But it's like a matter of him like putting everything together.
Because it's like when he got full runway in 2023, he had 25 home runs at 21 years old at catcher. Like literally Johnny Bench is the only other one that's done that. And then you have to take into the fact of, he's had hand injuries each of the last 2 seasons now. And again, I kind of look at the hitting coaching, and this is going to be one of those things where if things don't change for certain hitters, Eric Chavez and Jeremy Barnes might need to update the Indeed profile.
Get ready to learn. Get ready to learn fries and bag, buddy.
Get ready to learn consultant. But they're in position to do that. It would not shock me if they take a big swing in the summer if we get to the deadline, and I think Sean Manaea will be fine once he gets back.
Yeah, maybe not on Skenes, but like maybe like a similar,
but
somewhat similar situation, like a Sandy Alcantara or
right. Even as the numbers still don't improve, although I wonder how much of that is him and how much is
maybe he's purposely tanking his trade value.
Well, and the Marlins too.
Yeah. Like even though his ERA is like 8.06 or whatever it is now, like it still does feel like whenever he does inevitably get traded at the deadline, that whenever he goes to that new team, he'll start pitching better.
It's like Garrett Crochet lost 12 games last year. Everyone just understood, like, okay, yeah, that's not him.
Yeah. In situations like that, like you got to throw win-loss record out the window for a starting pitcher. But yeah, it's interesting. There are some teams that could put together pretty enticing packages for Skenes. So, I think at the very least, like, if teams are calling, the Pirates should probably listen. But I think that, if you're Ben Sherrington, you're not going to trade Skenes because your job's like already like in jeopardy. You're probably getting fired no matter what if you're Ben Sherrington. Like, there's really no salvaging this season. You've been there long enough. Like, it's time for you to go. So, like, I don't think it's I think it's like a kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't for him. Like you're kind of just your fate is already sealed. But I think you gotta let another you kind of gotta let the next regime make that decision.
It's like, yeah, on the one hand, it's like, hey, if I get this trade right, like maybe I can set myself up for the next job. And it's like, but are you really going to get that right?
That, and it's like, yeah, are you really going to get that right? Number one. Number two, how long are we actually going to know whether or not you got that right? It's going to take, you're not going to get a job next year. Like, we're not going to know next year, oh, he got it right. It's probably going to take at least 3 years before people look back on it and be like, oh, okay, maybe Ben Sherrington actually cooked if he does that. But then what are you taking 3 years off, or like what are you doing for those 3 years? Because then people might say, oh, well, hasn't been in the game for 3 years, maybe it's passed him by. So I don't think trading Skenes would be like a winning situation for him. I think it's got to be the next
perfect
guy.
Example. Everyone keeps talking about how the Nationals won the Soto trade, and it's like, yeah, Mackenzie Gore is good, Abrams is good, James Wood is good. What else? You've got these guys right now that are going out there and producing, and they have been what you've hoped that they would be, and you're still not close.
Yeah, so what has it equated to for you? Yeah, and like they did get a great haul. Yeah, like they did get a great haul for Juan Soto. It's like you better fucking like when you trade someone like that, you better get a great haul. But it's like getting a haul for like a generational type of player is like easy, but it's still very hard to build a winning team.
Just saw Tanner Scott give up a game-tying home run in the ninth, in case you were wondering why I reacted like that.
Oh, gee, that's too bad.
Gabe Murray, it was a 1-0 game, too.
Yeah, Yamamoto had a no-hitter into the seventh.
I actually didn't even realize that. I just knew that he was. I'm like, wow, Yamamoto.
Yeah, no, he had a no-hitter. I saw on I have the MLB website like pulled up or whatever, and they had the no-hitter alert.
Whew. I had this on the whole time. I had no idea.
Damn. Yeah, he did have a no going. But yeah, so
like even getting that right, and it kind of comes back to the heart of the whole discussion, which is, yeah, you can get that right. It's still, the onus is still on you to put everything else together. It's like, yeah, you can get 3 talents that come in and produce at all-star-ish levels or look like guys that are going to be cornerstone guys. You still got to fill out the rest of that roster. And I mean, we've seen that's something that the Pirates have had trouble with for 6 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts that the Pirates traded Kutch, got Brian Reynolds for him. And I remember at the time being like, man, how do you ever get fair value for someone like that who means so much to your city? And they were right. Like Reynolds earned that contract. He's been a multi-time All-Star, and they got Kutch back. He came back. They still haven't been close in that entire time.
No. Like the closest the Pirates have really felt over that period of time was probably because Kutch came back in 23, I think was when he first came back. Because he was on the Brewers in 2022. Because I remember me and a couple of friends went to a Pirates Brewers game, and he was on the Brewers, and like I remember my friend was trying to get him to like sign a baseball that he got a toss up from Colton Wong, and he was trying to get the ball signed, but he didn't have like a pen or a marker, so Kutch didn't even look at him. He knows how to handle, I guess. He knows how to handle
long enough.
Unprepared fans. So I remember that. So like, yeah, Kutch came back in 2023, and like it really, if during that time, if the closest the Pirates felt was probably like around this time last year. Well, this time last year, the wheels were kind of already. It was like April last year. But like this time last year, the wheels started to fall off.
I remember we talked right after the deadline. It's like, hey, like no guarantee that the Pirates get there, but it's like, 1 or 2 moves can propel you. And it was, I think the best they did was Brian De La Cruz.
Yeah.
I think they traded
for even then they were like still, even then they were like still not out of it. I remember like August was kind of the month that did them in. Like at the deadline though, like end of July, they were still very much like alive. And yeah, like that was like the closest it kind of felt for them. And like now it just feels like they're like eons away.
Oh,
And yeah, so
it's
I
so
mean,
bleak.
yeah, so I mean, like, it's like, could trading Skenes be the fastest way to, getting back to being close? Maybe, but yeah, it's
Well,
just
I mean,
there's so many questions with like who's making the moves and
it's getting the most value for it because I mean, let's be fair. I mean, there is precedent for this. I mean, you look. Obviously, it's not apples to oranges because of different ages, different sports. But the Cowboys traded Herschel Walker the year that they went 1-15, and it's like, man, that's it. And then it was, well, they got these picks back, and there were certain requirements that they would have had to have kept these picks if the players that they also got for them only played X number of games, and then they flipped those picks for these picks, and then they moved up in the 91 draft to get like they didn't just rest with what they got. It was, okay, well, how do we make this work for us?
yeah, it's like you get that, and then you can you can either turn that into your next core of players, or you can flip that into something else.
But
So
you can't just assume that that's just going to be the magic antidote to everything that's happened.
it's
You never stop working on that.
it's
Like, all right,
asset.
this is
Yeah,
good.
it's
Can we
it's
do
like
more?
it's asset and resource management.
Right. Which ultimately, what all of this comes down to is, does Bob Nutting want to try? And if he's
Yeah,
not, then we're going to have the same discussion with whoever they get.
yeah,
Even if the
most
players are
likely.
correct.
What's that?
Even if the players are correct, even if they identify the talent, we're going to be back to the same place of, are they going to pay these guys? And then we're
Yeah.
going to do it again.
Yeah, it's most likely. Yeah, that's most likely going to be the endless cycle until Nutting goes to hell. But
And I've been there.
yeah,
That's
but
also the Jacob deGrom experience.
yeah,
Waiting for your
that's
runner to
also a
go to
big
hell.
part of it. Yeah, so the Pirates can only hope that there's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. But next on our agenda, this was your idea, but both with the Yankees and the Mets, we both got it's narrative season. Obviously, with the Subway Series just wrapping up. So the pundits are loud. People are, everyone's getting their narratives off. And the Yankees and Mets, I think, throughout history have had plenty of narratives, some good, some bad, some annoying. So I guess we're going to talk about the annoying ones, or what the most annoying one for each of our team is. So the one narrative about your favorite team that you're just tired of hearing about. I have a few came to mind for this, but I'm gonna let you go first because I'm interested in hearing what you had to say. And obviously, this was inspired by all the latest nonsense that has been going on in the whole fallout with Juan Soto from the Subway Series.
And this my answer doesn't even have to do with current events. Every year on July 1st, there are people that I have to block for 24 hours on text threads because they're just going to get jokes and memes off all day, and I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. People act every year on July 1st. They get stupid, and they start retweeting Darren Ravel, which, first off, that's a sign that you need help immediately. But act like the Mets are the only team that has ever done deferred money in the history of sports.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are literally building a super team out of deferred money right now. But, and I appreciate Mike Mayer, who's a Met writer, I believe runs Mets Memorized Online, if I'm not mistaken. But you'll see him a lot if you frequent Mets Twitter. Has this thread every year. When the Braves signed Bruce Sutter in 1984 to a 6-year, $9.1 million deal, they agreed to deferred payments with interest following the conclusion. Sutter received $1.12 million for 30 years and then a final principal payment of $9.1 million in 2022. Bruce Sutter stopped playing before the 90s started. He was still getting paid 3 years ago. Bruce Sutter's in the Hall of Fame. I don't think the Braves ever made the playoffs or even really contended with him. I don't see anybody yelling, "Oh my God, how could you do that?" No. When Francisco Lindor agreed to his 10-year, $341 million extension, they decided $50 million would be deferred. That will be paid between 2032 and 2041 with annual payments of $5 million. Is anybody complaining? Is anybody complaining about that?
If anyone is, that's crazy. Especially because it's like, it'd be one thing if there was a salary cap and like the deferred money counted against your cap. But
the Dodgers will be paying Trevor Bauer $2 million every December 1st from 2031 to 2040. He didn't even finish one full season with them.
Yeah,
and
he'll
he's
be like, he'll be like 50, and they'll still be paying him.
The Cardinals will pay Matt Holliday every July through the end of the decade. I think Matt Holliday last played for the Cardinals in what, 2012,
something like that. Yeah, he was a Yankee.
I know he finished with the Yankees,
and he's had quite a few stops.
Steven Strasburg will be paid through the end of the decade by the Nationals.
Remember when there were talks that the Nationals were going to try and get the money back from Strasburg?
Yeah.
Which would have been crazy.
After he won them after he literally gave up his career to win them their World Series.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're telling me is I should not text you on July 1st and wish you a happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
I mean, I can't up the blower through the camera, so
yeah. Well, I guess if I want to, if we want to continue recording podcasts together in the future,
preferably
maybe don't say that. I'll put a reminder in my calendar. Don't wish Jerry a happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
That's just good planning.
I've always said that if you're like, I've always said that, like, if you're like a Mets, Islanders, and Knicks fan, if you're a fan of those three teams specifically, you should like July 1st should be a day you're allowed to commit crimes, because you got Bobby Bonilla Day, and like both the Knicks, like July 1st is usually like NBA and NHL free agency, and both those teams just constantly get like spurned on that day. I feel like if you make that like a purge day for like Mets, Islanders, and Knicks fans, I think that should be allowed.
Listen, it's not like the Rangers ever really do stuff well on July 1st either.
True. Well, they make moves. It just seems like those moves don't really work out.
With the exception of one, it goes poorly.
Yeah. I'm assuming the one is already Panarin.
No, yeah. I didn't want to bring it up, but
yeah.
The Orioles agreed to pay Alex Cobb $20 million deferred total, with $2 million on November 30th, 2022, and then $1.8 million annually each November 30th through 2032 for Alex Cobb.
Jesus.
Not even like, people can get the jokes off about Bobby Bonilla now, and he was not a good Met. I'm not here to argue that whatsoever. I'm not here to say he was great for us or whatever. He sucked. We sucked at the time. Fully got that. I just don't like the idea that we're the only team that has ever done this or did something that it's $1 million. But at that point in time, Bobby Bonilla was a regular top 5 finisher in MVP voting. He had been part of a Pirates team that had repeatedly gotten very close to the World Series. The Orioles are doing this for Alex Cobb.
Yeah. Like Bonilla was at least a good ball player, like before you gave him that contract.
Yeah, again, he was swill for us. I fully accept those charges. That's fine.
Yeah.
And
and like speaking of the Islanders, like I mean, they just got done paying Rick DiPietro like a couple of years ago. So like it happens. I
always thought the first thing Cohen should have done. I think the first thing Cohen should have done when he took over was just like, look, here's the rest of the deferred.
We just don't want to hear
jokes.
And you would think him, like, coming into it as a fan of the Mets, you would think he'd be like, yeah, you know what, like, I'm sick of hearing about shit too. Like, just take the rest. From my understanding, didn't his wife set that whole thing up? Bonilla's wife?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think I heard something like
I don't
that
think he
she
had
was
a
the one
mega
who set it up that way because she like didn't trust him to be like smart with his money.
And plus they were also negotiating with the Wilpons. So
yeah, so
and
it was, I guess, I guess
because,
yeah,
and because they did this, and this was well before the Madoff stuff. I think this wasn't even necessarily about the one in 92. I think, if I remember correctly, I think this might have been handled on his return, because he did have a second stint. He was on the 99 team. But the way it worked out, the Mets had enough financial flexibility to be able to acquire Mike Hampton. Mike Hampton then led them to the 2000 World Series, which ended poorly, but still, it's an NL pennant, and he was a reason for it.
Yeah.
Mike Hampton leaves in free agency, goes to the Rockies. The Mets get a compensation draft pick for that. That compensation draft pick became David Wright. So through all the jokes, and everyone wants to say, the Mets ultimately ended up with a guy who was arguably the greatest position player in franchise history, and his numbers going up this summer in the rafters. So
yeah, we'll be there, and and you got a World Series appearance out of it. So
right,
and Mike Hampton, he was I know I think we mentioned lately about I think last episode or maybe 2 episodes ago how like it was time for pitchers to stop hitting, but there are some good moments. Mike Hampton, I feel like he was one of the better hitting pitchers.
They could have created the Ohtani exception for Mike Hampton. He was one of a handful.
Yeah.
Him, Zambrano, Livan, Bronson Arroyo, Greinke, like that's it.
Yeah.
But actually, CC could swing it. I always forget that. I remember CC hit like a moonshot in Dodger Stadium. But yeah, Mike Hampton could hit.
Yeah. Yeah, so no, that's a good choice as far as narratives go. I wonder how much of it is just like the ring to his name, like Bobby Bonilla. It kind of just rolls off the tongue perfectly, like, oh yeah, Bobby Bonilla Day. Like if his name was like, I don't know.
Or even to say if the historical basis is Bruce Sutter. If the Bonilla thing never existed and the only reference point we had was Bruce Sutter Day, Bruce Sutter Day probably isn't the same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't ring the same. It just I don't know. Yeah, I just don't think it works. So I think that's part of it. I think like that's part of it. Like you hear someone say Bobby Bonilla Day and like it rolls off the tongue. It sounds like it has like aura. So like it gets people, it gets people curious.
Gets the people going.
Yeah. For me, there were a few different narratives that came to mind for this that I am tired of, but probably the one that I'm most tired of, and the one that we probably hear about the most frequently and the most often, is just like the dimensions of Yankee Stadium and like how basically everything has to be discredited because of Yankee Stadium. Like I remember last year, there were actual people saying, "Oh, well, if you take away Judge's like Yankee Stadium stats, actually, Bobby Witt Jr. is a better player," as if Judge isn't hitting like moonshots that are home runs in every park. And I feel like half the reason we have these like home run home run report like Wooded Dong like pages online is because of like Yankee Stadium and the short porch. And I get it. The short porch, it's cheeky. It's definitely, it's definitely cheeky. It's definitely, it's definitely some bullshit. And obviously there are a lot of, obviously there are some pop flies and fly balls that fly out of there that would just be a routine fly ball wherever else. But I guess what I'm tired of about it is no one likes to talk about how deep their center field and left center field is. There are flyouts. There are flyouts to that portion of the stadium that would be a home run in 29 out of 30 other parks, but we never hear about that. Also, it's never a discussion. It's never a discussion like that the other team playing in the stadium, is playing under the same dimensions. So when a player on the other team hits a home run to the short porch, we never hear about how it's a short porch merchant or how it doesn't count. And I get it. It's like, you generally you build your team to play in the ballpark where you're playing most of your games. But I think that I think a lot of that stuff's silly. I don't think we hear enough about like Fenway Park and their funky dimensions. I mean, it's like less than 300 feet to the pesky pole in right field. The Green Monster, I mean, it looks cool, but I don't know. I think it's kind of stupid to have like one wall that's like 3 feet high and another wall that's like 50 feet high. So I think that baseball was a sport that was meant to be played in, different ballparks with different dimensions, and you have to, you kind of have to play where you are, and, the other team has the same advantages or disadvantages that you do. So I'm kind of tired of people using that as like a way to kind of like clown the Yankees or discredit like what they do.
I mean, ultimately, I think that last point is maybe the most valid, in that part of the beauty of baseball is that no two places are the same. You look at every NBA court, they're all the same standard size. Every hockey rink, same size. Every NFL field's got to be 100 yards or 110 counting the end zone.
Yeah, 120, I guess, with the end zones.
What it looks around it, that can be different. But the actual playing surface itself, it's got to be that. You will never go to no two ballparks will ever be exactly alike. And you've got to account for that, whether you're at home or you're on the road. And
except for George Steinbrenner Field now, I guess.
Well, yeah, which kind of accidentally leads me into my second point. Didn't old Yankee Stadium have a very short right field too?
I'm pretty sure it was the exact same dimensions. I think the porch, I think the wall might have been a little bit higher.
Now there's that. And I mean, listen, I've gotten the short porch, right Little League Park jokes off myself. I mean, that's what I'm going to do. That's for the hat that I do. But I remember when that first year when the new stadium opened, I'm like, but it was 314 to right at the old place. Like, what's the difference? And I remember people talked about like, well, the jet stream comes into the ballpark and whatnot. I'm like,
oh yeah, the wind tunnels.
Right. And I'm like, well, but it's not going to be windy all the time. Like, that doesn't account for everything. Sure, I've gotten jokes off, but like being serious about it, it's like they didn't change anything as far as how far it goes from the old stadium. It's the same thing. And like you said, left center, very spacious at the old place too. And it's a fair point. If we're going to discredit left-handed hitters in Yankee Stadium, what about right-handed hitters in Houston? I don't even think it's 300 to left field with the Crawford boxes in Houston. So there's that. There are plenty of places where we've got legitimately multiple minor league parks in use this year. That's insane.
Yeah.
And if we're going to say, again, I'm going to get Judge jokes off, but to say, oh, well, we have to discredit his Yankee Stadium numbers. Well, what about all the guys that played for the New York Giants until they moved, when the Polo Grounds was like, I'm pretty sure it was another place where it was under 300 down the lines and 500 to dead center. What are you doing with those? There were plenty of, especially in the early, I would say up until maybe the early 70s, there were plenty of stadiums that were very funky with how they were built and were very short down the lines. This is the history of the game. And to go back to the original point, it's kind of the beauty of it. Everybody's different. If you're just so lucky that you're playing for that team at that time, you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, or against that team.
Is still kind of being hurt by the fact that when we switched from Shea to City, the original dimensions of Citi Field were cavernous, and I kind of wonder if it didn't accelerate the end of David Wright's career because he put so much more into his swing trying to get balls out that he was so used to at Shea Stadium that you couldn't just take for granted anymore at Citi Field. I think it's still a problem that we kind of deal with now in various ways that it still pops up from time to time. I would rather have a hitter-friendly ballpark because if I've got an ace pitcher, he's going to deal with that.
He's going to deal with
know how to deal with their environments.
Yeah, he's going to deal with it, and like you should be able to trust your pitcher to, you should be able to trust your ace pitchers to keep the
Right.
ball in the yard.
You never hear Cole complain about the
Yeah,
short porch. CC
yeah.
was a
Max
lefty.
Fried isn't having problems with it.
Yeah, CC never complained about it. Pettit never complained about it. Tanaka, like, if you can pitch, you know how to work with that.
Yeah.
Now, just make sure the game starts on time and not 3 minutes later. You might have another issue with Cole there, but
yeah, with Cole or there was an incident once with Severino with that where I think it was a playoff. It was a playoff game in 2018 against the Red Sox where he didn't start. The game was starting at like 7:38, and he didn't start warming up until like 7:30. I think. I think they thought the game started at 8, and I was like, "Listen, I'm on my couch. I'm on my couch with like a 12-pack at 7:30 to watch this game. How do you not know what time it starts?"
That's all I've been thinking about all day.
Yeah. I've literally been thinking about all day at work. I've literally been thinking about coming home and watching this game, and like you don't know what time it starts.
Corbin Carroll just went oppo on Scott. By the way, they're in extras.
Oh shit! Is it? Are the Dodgers? So are the Dodgers up now?
No. Diamondbacks are up 3-1.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Diamondbacks. Damn. Yeah, the Dodgers have been having a little bit of a skid lately. They got swept in their freeway series.
Their pitching's been getting tagged.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the game on Saturday when I was out there against the Angels. Clayton Kershaw's first start of the year. Didn't exactly he didn't I don't know, might be Jover for him.
Cladover, as it were.
Clover.
I mean, it's one thing for rival fans, I think, and it's copium or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if this were completely true, and like Judge is going to hit his home runs, and it's like, how come the mid tier guys aren't doing that? Then like Glaber should be hitting 5 every year. The borderline guy should be able to do that too. We're not saying Jorbit Vivas should hit 30 a year, but like
no. But some of those, even Volpe should be able to pop off a few more,
right?
Or like guys like that.
Brett Gardner was a lefty swinger. How come he didn't hit 35 every year?
Yeah. So there's definitely like more. Yeah, there's definitely more nuance to it. But like all I really think of is like there's this guy. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He kind of sucks, but there's this Twitter account, like a Red Sox fan, Cutter is King. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar. Yeah. So if you're familiar with his work, you know his work sucks. But like anytime someone on the Yankees hits a home run, he's like, you will never guess how many stadiums this is a home run in. And I'm pretty sure he probably, unless he knows better, he might have even said that about Judge's home run that he hit tonight, because it wasn't that deep. But the home run that Judge hit tonight is a home run in 4 stadiums, and one of them is also Fenway Park. So, like, what are we actually doing here?
I mean, also he's got a blue check, so there's that.
Yeah, and he pays Elon Musk for views, and he's basically an engagement farming account. But yeah, that's like neither here nor there. But
yeah,
I'm just
there's only so much I can respect that.
Yeah, it's like, by all means get your Yankee Stadium jokes off, but after a while it's just like, I'm not even like butthurt. It's just like, come on with something new.
I mean, I can reach across the aisle, because I feel like we both have our our cases that we presented. It ultimately boils down to that is, okay, yeah, what else are you going to tell me that I don't know already, or that I haven't heard? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, that is his most recent tweet.
Oh, he actually went there with it.
Yeah, I promise you will never guess how many stadiums this ball has gone in.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully all the replies are like, one of them is also your stadium. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Someone said Gone in Fenway. You'd know that if you put the fork down for 5 minutes.
I love it. I love
Listen,
it.
calling someone a fat ass plays. It is what it is.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. That's like one of those things that's like, yeah, it's like one of those disses that I guess is just like timeless.
Someone did hit him with the Aaron Judge home run and how many ballpark gimmick, and it's just the gif of washed athletes in uniforms you don't remember them in. Like Adrian Peterson in the Seahawks uniform.
Yeah, I don't even remember that, and I know he played for like a lot of teams, but
yeah,
like, the Seahawks, I have zero recollection.
I'm kind of amazed that the Bucks have a lot of washed up players. Surprisingly, we are very rarely in that.
Yeah,
Julio.
Yeah, the Jets are in that with Ed Reed. That's like the most common one.
And the only washed guy from the Jets in that montage that we'll acknowledge.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. Well,
that was a good way to end it.
yeah. On that note, this has been another episode of the 4 to 7 pod. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Follow us. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, wherever down below. And we'll see you next time.
Hey, enjoy your holiday weekend. Be safe out there, folks.
Yes.